Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Welcome.
Okay, welcome. I would like to start introducing the panel. And I share with you my screen that is just the web page where you see the introduction of the people. So let me share my screen. So here we are. So I have the pleasure and the honor to have in the panel 4 experts, which has a lot of experience in different aspects of cybersecurity, including 2 amazing female experts. So I will start from them. So first, Felicia Kutas, which is a leading education expert in Concordia. I met her a couple of years ago, and I was impressed by her organization leadership. And now she is working as in EIT Digital as a project leader. And she also, for education, she held an MBA in finance and an executive master in communication. Please, Felicia, if you are in, maybe you can say hello to everyone and discuss and just introduce yourself more.
Okay, so I manage. Thank you, Fabio, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. I think I will not spend more time on my bio, but I would just like to say that, especially today, in light of the today news, I'm a proud Romanian, and allow me to say Felicitări București for the great achievement of becoming the Future Youth Cyber Competence, for hosting the Future Youth Cyber Competence Center.
Okay, thank you very much. And I will move forward to introduce Argyro Hatsopoulos. She is a leader expert in certification and standardization, as well in Concordia. I met her in 2018 because she was my trainer for the ISO 27001 lead auditor course. And I was impressed by her clarity and the story that she discussed during the auditing experience that she has. So later we will hear from her what does she think, where we should go in certification of people, certification also of processes and products. So if Argyro is there, please introduce, add something so we can test also your ability to connect.
And the mic.
We have an issue with your mic. No mic. Okay, you reconnected later. Okay, perfect. We found the first issue. Let's move forward. So let's go at the first mail. Edmundas Pesarkas is, I will call him Mr. Skill Framework, because he's the editor of a very good report on from Sparta on Skill Framework. So if you have the opportunity to read, go to the Sparta website and read about. Edmundas is working for the Lithuanian Cybercrime Center of Excellence for Training, Research and Education, called in brief L3CE. And this organization has an extensive experience in running European and national research projects. Please, Edmundas, let's introduce more yourself.
Hi, here I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So Fabio, thank you for introduction. That was more than enough. it was perfect. Hello, Felicia, and hello all.
So last but not least, definitely, Pavel Varbanov is a representative of ECHO. He is the leader in education and training activity on the ECHO project. He's also a project coordinator at the European Software Institute, Center Eastern Europe. He has led most of the educational project and activity, including the application of the competency framework in national university. Please, Pavel, let's test your microphone as well.
Hello, good afternoon to everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
So now I will say thanks to all the audience to be so late here, and then I will give you the floor to Felicia, which will start the first presentation.
Can I first check if you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, great. Sorry, Felicia. Thank you very much.
No worries. Okay then, so we are in the education group here this afternoon together, and it's my honor to start presenting a little bit what we are working on and what are our plans for the future, and also collect some feedback from you as audience. My presentation will be linked to our effort on mapping the education, university programs, and professional courses. There is nothing new when I'm saying that there is a skill gap in cyber. We all know about it, and it's not only valid for Europe, but also for it's valid in the world, on all the other continents. So it's not a surprise that all the fall pilot projects are developing different actions around education, obviously. But in view of doing that, we first had to understand the market, what's existing, and to build the picture of education ecosystem within Europe. So, 1 year after we started the project, we have 3 maps displaying the information about the different programs around Europe. The processes we followed to collect the information and the type of information actually we collected was different, because we were supposed to fulfill some specific objectives of the individual projects we are working on. So speaking about the objectives, this is a very brief overview of different primary or secondary objectives we had when collecting the information. For instance, the Concordia, in case of Concordia, we're looking for collecting information, courses, short courses and trainings for cybersecurity professionals, and to disseminate them. And this dissemination action was mainly for the use of individuals interested in building a career in cybersecurity, but also for companies, corporates looking for courses to upskill or reskill their personnel. And as a third target audience, we had course providers, because they are always interested to see what's missing on the market in order to create new content. On the other hand, Sparta collected information on a bachelor and master's program in view of defining content-wise good practice curricula for university level. And CyberSec for Europe looked into the master programs to identify and prioritize the cyber skills needed to be included in the university curricula. So as you see, different objectives, but we ended up with databases of programs, and we put them in individual maps, which are now subject of our discussion. So very briefly, Concordia to date is displaying on the map more than 70 courses for professionals coming from 13 European countries. Sparta is showing more than 100 programs available, master and bachelor programs, from 16 European countries and 5 non-European countries. And CyberSec for Europe is showing master programs from 25 European countries, for a total of 127. So let me see. We have these maps, yes, and these databases, but the problem is, what are we doing with this? Because we already need to look into sustainability of this information we collected, and we need to look beyond the project. So thinking about that, we consider that we need to come together and work and share the databases and see how we can commonly as a group, or the 4 pilots group, to do something on the benefit of the market itself, the training market. But when you start discussing, we realize that we have to answer to 2 main questions: where to move all this information, or who to host this information, but not only to host it, but also to ensure that the information is updated on a regular basis. And the second question was, should we have only one single place? Where should we put all this information, no matter the type of audience we are targeting, or should we think about different places? So let's see. Oops, the slide is not. Okay, so I guess you are also seeing the 3 maps very briefly to show you how the 3 maps are showing today. As you can see, different views, different level of granularity of information presented. So the point is where to move all this information. So luckily, since in all this process of collaboration we had from the very beginning ENISA with us, they accepted to host for the future the content we collected during the first two years at least. So basically now the work we are doing is about aligning the different parameters of the data we collected and try to merge and to move the content in the ENISA Cybersecurity Higher Education database. The problem we had is with the second question, if you remember. The ENISA database is fitting the bachelor, master's, PhD programs, but is not. It was not structured for short courses in Europe. So for the moment, the short courses are still hosted outside ENISA database, and there is a pointer in the frequently asked questions of ENISA about is there a database for short courses in Europe? Here they are mentioning Concordia map still, because we are in a process of deciding on what to do with the professional courses, since they are targeting a special audience, not the general one, the students and recent graduates. So the question I have to you as audience and to also the other panelists is, should we go for one single map for all the programs and short courses or trainings, or should we think about alternatives? Of course, there are pros and cons for both options, but I wanted to put this question on the table for discussion today, and we can address it now. And I'm happy to read the comments in the chat if someone would like to express their opinion on these questions, or to come to it a little bit later after Edmundas, for instance, who I see he prepared himself already to to introduce the next topic. We'll get into more details. No worries, Edmundas. Everything is very much linked, and we cannot speak about mapping without speaking about other elements of the education as a whole. More specifically now, we speak about the skills framework. So I will stop here, and I would like maybe I will copy this question on the chat, and I would be happy to collect your feedback on this question in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. I exactly, before starting the next topic, I want to reflect a little bit on the single map. For me, if that single map is attached to the framework, that would be the ideal world. And if students or adults or lifetime learning people or specialists already having different background, no matter who, is able to see what kind of capabilities, skills, and other stuff they need to move, for example, from one institution to another, or from one role to another, they can easily access that, and that's mapped and structured in the same way. It would be the ideal world.
Thank you, Edmund. Actually, I'm of the same opinion, and I really think that we need to think from the user's perspective and to try to help them build their career in cyber. So if we have one single place of offering all the information and also the path they can have by building different skills based on the framework you will talk about, then I think this would be perfect for them. And yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if we, because if we just give them the map, we are giving them kind of no support on how they should make their choices or what they should search for. And if that is connected to the framework, which can be break down into their career path,
exactly.
Then it's brilliant.
Okay, I will stop here then, and I hope that our colleagues will share your presentation now.
Yeah, let's see how it works. I've seen the previous session. It was quite a lot of challenges there, man. Well, they've got something on the screen, which looks like might be my presentations. Let's see how it works. Next slide, please. Maybe this way. Yeah.
Just wait a moment.
Yeah. Now it works perfectly. So it is about skills framework, and this is my part. Please, colleague, don't leave me alone. Sorry, Felicia, we'll let you alone, but it's much more nice when you see some other faces in front of you to talk. But so I'm here to talk about what we as folk pilots do in a skills framework context. Before I moved to the folk pilots, just make a very short detour on how we understand what the skills framework is. So very shortly, it's just to put it that this is a kind of a vocabulary or the common language structure. So most of the things we can call frameworks if they're structured. In the skills framework, we say that okay, there should be a certain structured way how skills are, abilities, skills, knowledges are combined into some boxes, some structure. The other aspect is that it should provide links to something, either to the map, either to the career path, either to reality. Reality, I mean everyday activities of the practitioners within the cybersecurity. Whatever we take as a small, medium enterprise, or we take the, I don't know, military or other institutions which have offensive capabilities. So this should provide certain link that we can use to explore, to understand how it works. And the top thing what I want to stress, because there will be less a little bit probably possibilities to talk about this, is that to my understanding, the framework as a structure is important. and how we construct it. But what is even more sometimes important is that how you manage it, how you maintain it, because especially in particular cybersecurity is very fast, is very dynamic thing. New technologies, new issues, challenges. We can talk about quantum or artificial intelligence, whatever. It changes very quickly. So if you are not able to properly maintain the framework, it loses its actuality or applicability within half a year. So that was the short tour of how I think the framework should be. And I'm getting back to the 4 pilots. We had a lovely talks a few times with very nice people around. How can we start aligning our activities? Because at the current state, what we have 4 pilots which are coming to this skills framework from very different perspective and very different from the very different angles. With any framework, including the skills framework, it could happen in the way that you create the beast which under your from the angle you want to see. If you create the framework and look at the framework from the position of the higher education institution, you create the framework which is convenient for education institution. If you look at the framework from the position of the standardization, you will create the framework which will be suitable or applicable in this area, and the question for the others, for the other areas. So we are in a bit this kind of a position so far. We have CyberSec for Europe, which is more concerned on the MOOCs and quality assurance issues. We have Concordia, which is even less to the cybersecurity framework as such. They use that as an instrument for the standardization questions, and they could share afterwards what kind of challenges they faced in doing this. We have ECHO, which is more on the higher level framework, which can integrate all available frameworks into one, providing links and abilities to jump from one framework to another, which is very good, I think, and very useful. And I'm from Sparta, where we went more on the classical way or traditional way. So we thought of what the skills framework should be about in general. And our attitude was more that the starting point should be, let's call it reality. That is the daily operations which are done, or daily tasks which are performed in the cybersecurity related institutions and departments and so on and so on. So we start with the roles, we define that. If that is defined, we know the tasks to be performed, and the tasks are then linked to the capabilities of people and knowledge and skills they have to have. So this is very traditional way. This is how any skills framework, or this is how the human resource management is done in organization, in industry, in companies. So basically, they see what is to be done, what kind of people they need with what kind of capabilities. So this was the approach of the Sparta we followed, and so none of the approaches is wrong or right, or better or worse. They all are good, I think. They are just different. And as I said, when we have different approaches, then we construct a different elephant with the smaller legs or longer legs and big ears and stuff like that. So we are at the point where we are exchanging our approaches, where we are trying to really align ourselves in the thinking, discuss on what could be done and what could be the ideal world, which is a very long way to go. So we are at this point at the moment. I think we still have time and energy and motivation to move forward with that concept and have some common approach, which at least could reflect my next slide a little bit. Yeah, we're moving to the way forward. So at least we can focus on the issues on the first question, which is I think is not that funny, because the normal answer would be yes. We kind of in Europe it would be great to have one skills framework, which is constructed in a certain way. If we take the traditional one, then it's traditional one. If the other way, we should recreate it. But it's not that simple to be answered, because today we've heard, especially in the previous discussions, how important, for example, citizens or simple people are. Today, digital things are all around them. In the year or two, we'll have even more challenges in that context. So maybe we need to have a specific framework dedicated for the citizens, for the people. There's another thing which could be dedicated for small and medium enterprises. There is something different probably that could be relevant for SET and that type of organization. There could be also something different, completely different, for example, for hybrid threats or comprehensive cybersecurity as part of the hybrid threats. So, which goes far beyond cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is then only a single component in the much wider picture. So there's no single answer to that question, and this is still could be open discussion. If I was the one to decide, I would say yes, we need to have one which is properly governed and very complex. It's not the thing you can understand within 3 minutes. It's much more difficult. But then you can extract bits and pieces from that major framework. You can take part which is relevant for SMEs, which is relevant for citizens, which is relevant for SETs, which can be applied somewhere else. That's just my opinion. So this question is still not open, and I'm not still not answered. And I'm not sure that all 4 pilots are in a position to answer that question for the whole Europe. We could probably have our own opinion and agree or discuss that in between 4 pilots. But in involvement of other stakeholders, which are extremely important, ENISA, thank you, Fabio, he's always with us, EXO, standardization organizations, others, that is really much wider question than to be answered just by 4 pilots. But I think that at least we come up with the answer. The second question is it possible? It's more funny because everything is possible in life, everything you can do. Yeah, we have a big challenge here in Europe with regards to 27 member states, with slightly, I would say, different legislation and different attitude to the skills frameworks. And then we vary a lot from, for example, Portugal, which adopted the NICE framework, which is, by the way, the suggestion provided by Spark as well, as the only framework starting from the roles performed by the practitioners. So this is adapted by, for example, Portugal, but in some other countries we have different moves to a different concepts. So it's making one single standalone major skills framework is not that easy task. So but of course it should be doable and possible. So that's probably the questions I wanted to raise for the discussion and to illustrate a little bit where we are, because my last slide is more about the general, let's say, roadmap where the movement towards skills framework could go, how it could go. And these are, yes, we have to agree at the beginning of the purpose of this framework we would use it for. The high-level architecture. Do we include, for example, universities? Do we include professional trainings? Do we include career path? There are components, quality measures, levels of expertise. There are many components which could be included or could be not. And so the general architecture is still important. Scope of the framework, granularity, that's an endless question. You always balance between the cybersecurity should be cyber secured to the very detailed description of what is needed to perform the task in the cybersecurity and the change management governance of the whole thing, as I mentioned. Yes, and there's a proposal for the key success factors. If we decide to go for the single skills framework, there are 3 pillars which might make it kind of successful or applicable for the whole Europe, and that is governance, as I already mentioned. That is recognition to root it, and that is extremely important. That not only this is on both sides. It's not only that it's recognized by industry, for example, or critical infrastructure, but also for the academia, that they can really use it in their daily life to make the curriculums more specific, more targeted, better, let's say, to get it more simple. And third thing is dissemination. So we involve as many parties in the exercising, in application, in trying to work with this kind of frameworks. So the way forward, kind of as a roadmap, it's more or less, let's say, clear and could be agreed. But we still have an open questions in between the 4 pilots to align how we look at the skill frameworks. Do we believe we need only a single one? Sorry, I have a feeling that I took a little bit longer than expected. Is there anything in the chart?
I think at the moment we are late. Let's move forward with Argiro presentation.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
It's taking too long.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes, Argiro, we can.
Great, just checking. So until the presentation is loaded, let me just say all the things that I wanted to say even shortly before. So thank you very much, Fabio, for the introduction. It is great to be among you all here, all representatives of 4 pilot projects and all the people attending this event. I know we are getting a little bit late, especially in some countries, but I'm very happy to see that you are still here and you are actively contributing to the discussion, because this is also this is a discussion, not just a presentation. From my part, as Fabio said, I am Miro. I am working for Concordia regarding the certification standardization task. And here I want to talk a little bit about certification, about how this has a connection to everything else that we discussed today, especially in the area of education. And also pose some questions for you to give me some feedback and make a more interactive discussion. So the first thing that I wanted to say is to lay the ground, to have a common language, is what certification is. Certification is actually, let's say that it's a statement. It's a statement produced by usually an independent party saying that specific requirements have been fulfilled. These specific requirements can be related to anything within the anything. It could be a product, it could be a service, it could be a process, it could be a system, it could even be skills. So certification is very generic. It can be applied to anything, provided we have specific requirements and we have a method to go and assess and independently say that these requirements are being fulfilled. In the area of talking about the 4 pilots, I think we can easily see that, especially also in this area, it is very important that we have a common approach and that we do not create duplicates of the same things. One of the values of certification is that it allows people to easily compare products or services, to circulate products or services within a wide market like the European Union. It can provide an assurance that some things are being fulfilled. And it's very, very important that this message is unique and not fragmented. So it's not, it does not provide any value to the market to have multiple certification schemes addressing the same thing, because then people do not know exactly what to do, and the value and the usefulness of certification regarding comparability is lost in the way. So definitely, and this is what we are doing as pilots, we are trying to collaborate together and create unique schemes, but jointly. In the area of education, so the education process, even in cybersecurity, but not also only, there are multiple components. So we have the trainees, we have the people that are participating within the education process, but in order to have them there and to provide something that they want, we need to have all of the other components supporting this. So we need to have competent trainers, we need to have relevant and suitable training material that will cover specific knowledge that they need to be given. We need to have a training method that is suitable for the specific training that we are going to give, and use the specific training platform that we need, especially in the area of cybersecurity, where we talk about the cyber ranges and about having training as practical as possible. It's really important to define and use the right training platforms and the right training methods. And all these we have to do in order to bestow on the trainees the skills, knowledge, and abilities that they need in order to effectively perform a specific job role. And that also brings us back to another component, which is that without the role profiles and the information that they need to know in order to perform a specific role, then this cannot work. So we can see that even the cybersecurity education is a complex process. It has a lot of components, and because it has a lot of components, it has a lot of abilities regarding certification also, because as you can see also in this very draft diagram that I put here in the slide, we have people and we have products and we have processes and we have systems, and as we said before, during the definition, in all of this we could apply certification, and in all of this, certification could have a positive value. In order to show you a little bit of how we cooperate and how the different pilots have a place within this ecosystem and what we're doing in terms of on certification, I would like to ask maybe Felicia to present a little bit what Concordia is doing regarding the certification of skills. So this is the skills, knowledge, and abilities part, the last part of the slides. How can we validate, verify that this specific person has indeed the skills, knowledge, and abilities that are needed for the specific job role. Alicia?
Can you hear me? I'm trying to open the camera now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm here, I guess. Oh. Yes, finally. Okay, thanks again. Indeed, we have a nice example in Concordia we can briefly share with the audience, and it's about our experience in building the cybersecurity consultant profile. Because within Concordia, we were tasked to develop content for cybersecurity professionals. We thought that we should first look into what's needed, what's relevant for the European market, and we identified this role profile, cybersecurity consultant, which is needed and relevant for more than one industry, so it's cross industries. But the problem we faced when we wanted to start looking into the right curricula for this profile was that we didn't actually had the profile defined per se, so we started with looking into the American NICE framework of skills, knowledge, and abilities, and then we got inspired from this one. But then we went to the ecosystem and asked what they consider in Europe relevant as important knowledge and skill a cybersecurity consultant should have, and this happened during this year via different surveys and workshops and so on. So the bottom line is that now we have the role profile of cybersecurity consultant well defined and defined also using the European competence framework structure, and we are currently developing content for the courses which aim at passing the knowledge a cybersecurity consultant should have, and we'll then develop some let's say cyber ranges specifically designed for this profile in order to develop the right skills the cybersecurity consultant should have. We are almost there. Beginning of next year, we will pilot this course. But more importantly, we want to attach to this course also a certification scheme, skill certification scheme. And we will do this by testing the knowledge acquired and the skills developed via a theoretical exam and the practical one. So just keep an eye on Concordia social media channels, so we will let you know. It's a nice experience and a journey, I would say. Happy to take on board new suggestions, especially because that we are running first a pilot and then we'll refine the content based on the feedback we will be getting, and hopefully this experience will become a standalone and recurrent exercise happening in the European cybersecurity market.
Great, thank you very much, Felicia. It's an interesting point. It was an interesting experience, all of this, that we tried to create something, and we designed the way forward. At the point of implementation, we had to find a way forward in order to create, and we designed some very nice tools, and it was a very interesting experience. And that would actually bring me to a question to Edmundas. Is there a connection then between the certification, for example, of skills and knowledge and the training courses and the framework you were trying to present before?
Yes, definitely, and that is directly related to what Felicia said already. That they selected a nice framework because that's the framework that describes the what is actually done in the real work, in the daily operations. So it's that should be probably the base for certification as well. Yeah, if I answer your question, Gira, because
yes, great. Thank you very much. So there is a clear connection. It's if we don't have the requirements behind it, then it's really difficult to have a valid certification scheme, and it should be accepted, acknowledged, and shared. And if we have the same basis, then we can have a certification scheme. Thank you very much. So that brings me to another effort that we're doing between us, as collaboration between pilots. Cybersecurity as a subject is a little bit tricky. In what is really needed based on the surveys is practical skills. It's especially now at the market. And so whatever training we are trying to do, whatever training method we are trying to use, it should definitely facilitate the use, the exercising of practical skills, and it should also allow for remote training, especially in this time. But also after COVID-19 has passed, it will still be something that will be important to be able to undertake these trainings in a remote environment. So this is an initiative started from CyberSec from Europe, one of the 4 pilots, and they actually identified a set of requirements as we were talking about for the framework, but for the MOOC platforms, and what are the quality criteria that these platforms should have in order to be effective, to have an effective role within the cybersecurity education. So what we are currently doing is that we are building on the work that has already been done by CyberSec for Europe, and we are trying to see whether it would be beneficial for the industry, for the market, and would have specific benefits to create a certification scheme for the specific platforms, the specific types of platforms, the MOOC platforms. So currently, we just published a survey, and within the next week, hopefully all of you will get an email which you will promptly fill in and you will not put in the trash. And then we will be asking your opinion regarding if there is a value to this, if something can be gained out of this, and if this the answer or during the survey is positive, then we will go ahead and create the first common cybersecurity framework, cybersecurity scheme, certification scheme for MOOCs platforms for cybersecurity education. And this is actually completely cross-pilot, so it's a collaboration between Concordia project and CyberSec for Europe, and we're really, really excited to do this, and we're really excited to see how that goes. So I don't want to take too much of your time because I know I'm a little bit late. So I see Fabio. So what I'm going to say is that there are a lot of opportunities, there is a lot of potential and a lot of value in certification in cybersecurity, not just products, not the way that we're used to, but also in education. So my final question, and the one that I'm going to post on the chat, is do you think there's another potential other than what we have said already? So we have identified a skills framework, a skills certification scheme for the cybersecurity consultant with Concordia. We have identified something for the platform, maybe for the training method. We're definitely having the input from the framework. Do you think there's something else that we should look at during the next year? So thank you very much, everybody from the panel, and thank you very much, everybody who stayed with us for this discussion. And I'm giving the floor back to Fabio.
Yes, I will give the floor immediately to Pavel because we are running very, very late. So Pavel, just conclude this session because the cyber range is waiting for us.
Yeah, thank you, Fabio. I'll be very brief in just want to express and share the group's vision about the building of the ecosystem. So the first message that we have is that the group is confident that possess all the prerequisites needed for the development of an ecosystem. Those prerequisites are three. The first one is the existence of all stakeholders that are represented in all 4 pilot projects. The second component is a bunch of added value products and services, and the information shared by the previous panelists and speakers show us that we have the necessary pool of added value products and services. And the third component of a successful ecosystem is is a strong economy. And I think that the European economy, despite the situation during the last year, can be still can be called strong and has all the conditions and results inherent to a strong economy. And our second message is that although the diversity of the partner organization and different competitive advantages of the organizations, we demonstrated that we are ready to collaborate for a secure and better protected European market and citizens. So the collaboration in a competitive world is not an easy task, but we have all marketing and intellectual tools that facilitate the works toward this common goal. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Pavel. Thank you for all to listening to us, to the great speakers. And I close the session of education. Thank you very much.